my story. The rest is silence.
Cut! Let it be! Let it be! Let it be!
I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing, man? I am having a wonderful time just sitting at the airport. And where are we? We are Jersey. I'm in Jersey, guys. I haven't been out here in a long time. But not only that, I have a guest, and it's about something we've already talked about. So just hang tight. Don't go anywhere because this is going to be an amazing interview right here at Dream Chasers Radio. Welcome back to the show. So look, okay, so we had this interview with another gentleman about a very, very specific movie that's out right now. And something that they have done that is just beyond amazing. They've captured it to the T. I mean, literally, when I watched the trailer, it just grabbed me. And I want to welcome to the show one of the people that were instrumental in this particular movie that we're going to talk about today. Please tell everybody who you are and what you do, please.
Well, my name is David Vando, and I conceived this piece as a film. I did the adaptation of Shakespeare's play Hamlet to fit the concept, and I also wrote the screenplay.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I wrote this, made the adjustments in the screenplay because a lot of people are frightened by Shakespeare.
They are because they don't understand
They were
it.
tortured by some high school teacher, perhaps, and frightened to death, say, I can't understand this. It has no meaning to me. Well, my object in doing this film was to make it accessible for contemporary audiences so they could enjoy it as they would enjoy any other film. And archaic words have been replaced with words that were contemporary to Shakespeare, but would have clearer meanings to us as an audience of any age. And that was one of my first technical goals in making this a film. This is not just a filming of a stage production. It's been completely reconceived for cinematic terms. And just as Shakespeare's play was a play within a play within a play, I've made this film a film within a film within a film. So it's works on multiple levels. And the most important level of all is the spiritual level of the piece.
Okay. Talk about that. Tell me about that.
I was wondering why people coming out of this pandemic were having such a positive experience, and how they were praising the film.
Okay.
And it occurred to me that this film is very, very uplifting. Even though it's called the tragedy of Hamlet, because Hamlet dies, his body dies, but his spirit goes on. And we see his spirit ascend, and he becomes transcendent. It's very, very uplifting.
Wow.
And
wow.
So that's the main thrust behind the meaning of this piece, because Shakespeare's plays, I mean, if you do the full-length version of Hamlet, you're talking about 4 or 5 hours in the theater.
Which is pretty scary for a kid.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been down that road, definitely.
This is 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I guarantee you once the music starts and you see the first character enter, which is me, you within seconds will be caught up in the machinations of this film, and you will lose yourself. You will just lose yourself. And the editing, wow, the editing in this piece by Sean Robinson, working in hand with our director, Paul Warner, is absolutely brilliant. It doesn't miss a beat. It just builds and builds, and there is no let up. There is no dead moment in the entire piece. And it works so well, just as we would expect a contemporary film to work.
Wow.
So the first thing I want your listeners to understand is that this is not an academic presentation of the play. It is a film. Film in all senses of the word. And there's scenes in the film which are completely cinematic, which do not exist in the play. That's one of the advantages of doing this as a film, isn't it? You can say, you know, a picture, they say, is worth 1,000 words.
Correct. Yep.
And there's some elements of the script that I get across with a momentary scene, which says more than a whole act of the play in one sense.
Wow.
So.
Wow. You know, I wanted to ask you, you know, you said that this is, you know, your creation, that you wrote this. How did you go about writing this? What did you do to pull that and come up with what you come up with in such a short amount of time? Because like you said, you know, Hamlet's films are, I mean, his plays are just like ridiculously long. How did you do that?
Well, first of all, I've been living with this play since I was in high school. I had this wonderful teacher who was just magnificent. Her name was Vern Oliver. And she was so far ahead of her times, and she worked so hard. She was a Black woman, and in order to hold the position and things that she had, she not only had to be brilliant, that she had to work like the devil, right?
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But she was passionate, and she passed her passion along to me. So I've been living this script for years. And as a matter of fact, before I graduated from high school, as a tribute to her, I did a little play, a little presentation, an hour presentation of Hamlet called Soliloquy, in which I, along with 2 other actors, took turns playing Hamlet, and we performed major soliloquies from the play, and we had the character of Horatio tie it all together like a narrator. So over 60 years ago, I was unknowingly taking my first steps towards this film. And it, of course, was a tribute to my teacher, who I loved, adored.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Literally. And he was so pleased, and
wow.
She was so happy with what we did. So
wow.
That's you see.
That's amazing.
The major challenges that I had in the film were cutting it down to its essence.
Correct.
And as I said, making it clear to the audience. There are vital, I can give you a very important line, which comes in the famous soliloquy, "To be or not to be." in which Hamlet is contemplating death by suicide. And there's a very important line, because he's not sure what lies on the other side of death.
Yeah.
And he says, the unknown land from whom's born no traveler returns. Now that's the line, but I changed one word, and in changing that one word, it becomes crystal clear what he's talking about. The undiscovered land from whose borders no traveler returns. Now that makes sense to you, right, Yaya?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So was I not right to make those changes?
You
For
were.
the benefit of this film?
Yes, yes. It explains it a lot better too.
Exactly. Now a purist can see multiple movie versions or a stage version and get the full text. But for my purposes, given the fact that I was condensing it and cutting it down and manipulating scenes and dialogue, I thought I could take the liberty of making these changes that I knew would make the text clearer to an audience. So clear that they're not even going to think about it.
Right. Right. They're not. But, like you said, to a purist, that might be, sacrilege.
Yeah.
But that's okay because, it all depends on the audience that you're trying to reach. I mean, who are you really trying to reach here?
Well, both David Wenzel and I wanted to reach a young audience.
Okay.
And our Hamlet, Horatio and Ophelia are all young people.
Right.
They barely were in their 20s when we first worked on this. Okay? Hamlet's supposed to be a student at the University of Wittenberg. But in most film versions, especially, and in some stage versions, you have actors who are 30, 40, or older, playing the student. And they get away with it because they're very brilliant at delivering those beautiful lines.
Right.
They have wonderful voices and they phrase so beautifully. But in terms of drama, should a 30 or 40-year-old man be upset with his mother because she's remarried?
No.
No. He should be married with his own family, correct?
Exactly. Definitely.
But if you have an 18-year-old or an actor who looks 18 and is a couple of years older, he's much closer to his mother, isn't he?
Yeah.
Much closer.
Yeah.
As a result, the scenes between the two of them in this film are electric. And the climactic scene when he's in her dressing room and he confronts her with the death of his father and the murder of his father by his uncle, with whom his mother has remarried. It's a very powerful, powerful scene.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen it done before.
Wow.
So these are the type of things. But now one of my students, because I'm a teacher at the New York Film Academy, by the way.
Oh, wonderful.
And I've been teaching there for about 17, 18 years. And I teach young people a course in Shakespeare, an introduction to Shakespeare. And one of my students, who was a scholarship student that I found and brought to the school, called me up the other day, and he's finishing his classes in LA, his degree classes in LA, and he's doing very, very well. And I said, hey, Dustin, did you get to see the film? He said, yes, David, I loved it.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so happy you did. Yes, and I showed it to my grandmother,
Hmm.
and she loved it too.
Awesome.
So what?
Yeah, it
I must
crosses
be
all the
doing
borders.
something right,
Well, you
right?
crossed all the you dotted all the I's and you crossed all the T's, basically, to get this to a modern way where people of any age can enjoy it. That's what you've done. I mean, literally, congratulations. Like I said, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the delivery. I loved the movie. I loved everything about it. And that says a lot when you're condensing something so large and then you're tackling somebody so well known, you know.
Well,
That's that's amazing
it
what you've done.
may have been quite a challenge and quite a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
But I had done work on Shakespeare before. I had adapted his comedy Love's Labor's Lost as a musical, done in Washington, D.C. At the Folger Library Theatre,
Mm-hmm.
25 or 30 years ago. And the things I did and how I changed one little word or something like that, and a line which was lost, a laugh line that was lost to the audience, all of a sudden became hysterical.
Exactly.
Because I changed one word or I inverted something.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a crime?
No, because you've made it today. That was
Yes.
yesterday.
Yeah, and if Shakespeare were alive today, would he be the first one doing what I'm doing?
Yes.
Yes, he would.
Yes.
Yes, he would.
Yes. Definitely.
And he even in his lifetime, he wrote many of his plays and scenes and things, even after they had been premiered.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this your first movie that you've ever done?
It's my first that I've done like this. Yes,
Right. Like
that
you've done it. You did it. You wrote it.
I conceived it. I helped
That's what I'm
finance
talking
it,
about.
and I acted it.
Yeah.
I didn't plan to act in it.
What have you learned through this process, and what's so different from theater and movies? What's the difference?
The difference is the concentration on the verb, less of the verbal and more of the visual.
Mm.
There's, as I told you, there are several scenes in this piece that I've added that say so much in visual terms. That's the main difference. But they're both you in film you don't rely on the text as much as you have to do in theater
Mm-hmm.
to bring out the meaning and the passion of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
But although I haven't worked a lot in films per se,
Mm-hmm.
I have studied films since my late childhood, and at Columbia University, where I was a student. I was a comparative literature student at Columbia University, and then I went on to get my master's degree in playwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So my background is in theater.
Right.
I've done everything in the theater, from cleaning studios and toilets to hanging lights, to acting, to singing, to writing, to producing. I've done work on musicals. I've done ballet scenarios. I've adapted pieces, dramatic pieces from other languages. I've done just about a little bit of everything.
Wow.
So this is a film.
Right.
But anyone who's aware of dramatic techniques will realize that there are expressionistic, symbolic methods and other theatrical devices that are employed in this film.
Mm-hmm.
So I draw heavily on my dramatic background.
Gotcha.
But is all couched in cinematic terms.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, man, and for bringing your perception of Hamlet. I mean, that's a big task. I cannot lie. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. Where can people find it? Where can they watch this amazing rendition?
Well, it's currently available in some major platforms,
Mm-hmm.
including Apple Prime, Amazon Prime, Apple TV,
Mm-hmm.
iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube.
Awesome.
And in September, I'm told it's also going to be on Vudu.
Oh,
And it was supposed to be on Vudu already, but because of the influx of Hollywood films trying to get to market, our piece not being a major
right.
Hollywood production had to take a back seat.
Yeah.
But Vudu, I must say, they contacted us and say, we'll be able to launch it in September. And what we're going to do for you, which I'm greatly appreciative, we're all appreciative for, is that they're going to make a special notification about this film to all their
Wow.
viewers, which is in the millions all over the world.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing.
So-
Congratulations on that.
So yeah, sometimes you have to be patient,
Yeah.
which is hard.
Yeah.
We're in debt for the film,
Mm-hmm.
and we're hoping we can make at the very least make our money back and break even. But even if we don't, I wouldn't change a moment of this for anything,
Right.
because it was such a learning experience. It was such a rewarding experience. And now to see the fruits of it on the faces of people and the words of reviewers, and my goodness, Yaya, we have won 7 first prizes in 7 different film festivals all over the
Wow.
world.
Congratulations.
And 2 weeks ago, we just received our 7th one.
My
And you know where
goodness.
that one came from?
Where?
Russia. Russia.
Wow.
They love Shakespeare in Russia.
Yeah, I know.
They love Shakespeare
Wow.
all over the world, let's face it.
Yep.
We don't have any
Wow.
stars in this piece.
Right.
It means that Hollywood and other things, they don't want to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
told our distributor, no, we don't have a Brad Pitt or a Meryl Streep or Denzel Washington or some great actor like that in it. But we have Shakespeare.
That's it.
We have Shakespeare.
That's
And
it.
I've broken my back working to do justice to this piece,
Mm-hmm.
so that the real true meaning of this piece comes forward. Look, Shakespeare's plays are very dense, and they work on multiple levels at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a historical level, there's a social level, there's a psychological level, there's a sexual level, political. I mean, all these different levels that can be firing at the same time. But the most
Wow.
important level of all is the spiritual level, the
Yeah.
moral thesis of the play. Shakespeare is the most moral playwright of all times.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
in Shakespeare's world, love is the most important theme of all.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever love is thwarted in some way, like Romeo and Juliet are kept apart, what happens? Tragedy.
Oh yeah.
Iago puts a barrier between the love of Desdemona and Othello, and what happens? Tragedy.
Yeah.
Again and again and again and again, Shakespeare shows us what happens when we lose our sense of love and humanity. When
Wow.
we do, When we do, tragedy inevitably results. So this is, all of Shakespeare's plays are really moral exemplar. You know, they're like medieval plays, things, tales from the Bible.
Right.
And this piece is very much, Hamlet is very much a battle between good and evil.
Wow.
The murderous, his murderous uncle who killed his father, killed Hamlet's father. And on the other side, Hamlet with his friend Horatio, who are bonded together with a sense of love and duty, and overcome the evil around them. So it's a battle. It's a battle for good versus evil, which is, of course, what so many films have as their central theme, correct?
Correct. And people are just going to have to go ahead. I'm going to have the link in the description box below so you can go ahead and watch this. You've got to see this. You've got to see it. I mean, literally, I can even describe it. You're going to have to watch it. You're going to have to see it. So just go there and
we could mention some things from the movie right now between the two of us, but it really wouldn't click with the audience.
No, not unless they see it.
It has to be seen in this context. It
gotta
is
see it.
Unlike a film most of you have ever seen before.
There you go.
Shakespeare has never been treated like this, quite like this before. And the fact that, as I said, it's a film within a film within a film should tell you that this is not your typical film.
Right. Exactly. And that's why they got to go see it. So I'm going to have that link in the description box below so that you guys can go ahead and see this. And when you do see it, please leave a comment. Make sure you rate it, because you're going to be amazed by this amazing writer, David. Thank you so much.
We'd be so grateful to you, because we don't have millions of dollars in advertising, but word of mouth and the power of people's words in rating the film, their experience with the film, is worth $1 million to us.
And that's what we're going to try to get you.
Bless you.
And that's why we're going to put this out on all of our platforms, because it just deserves that. You've done such a great job. Congratulations. And congratulations on the dedication to your teacher. That's just right there. That touched me right there. So you got me. You got me.
About her, my voice now begins to crack.
Oh.
Because how can I pay her back for all the good she did for me? But I can do this work, can't I?
Yeah. You're right. You're right. What a beautiful, beautiful dedication. You're right.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for listening. Go to that link, watch the movie. And remember, teachers make the difference in each and every one of us. And this is a dedication to someone who gave their life to teaching and planting and raising the next generation. Until next time, guys, dare to be different.
I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I dare to be different. I dare.